these days hooked on to our phones. When somebody is talking to us, we've got one eye on our phone, looking at what message is coming up, what sound is going on, they call it the fear of missing out, whatever it is. And when you all go out, even among friends, youngsters, friends, I see often suddenly in a big group, but everybody's looking into their phones, engrossed with their phones, right? At a restaurant, a family, you sit, everybody, we all have our own gadgets and all of us are looking into that gadget, all busy texting instead of talking to each other. So it's as simple as that. That's what we are talking about, to talk to each other, to relate with one another. So this casualty of this phone or some other device that we have in our hands is that one is the strain on our neck, they're saying, because our heads are constantly down, looking into our phones. There's a huge strain on our neck muscles that the previous generation did not have. Other than that, the major casualty is our interpersonal skills. And that is such an important skill. The ability to, to relate to a family member, a friend, a colleague, a boss. It's so important. And to talk about all this, we have today with us a very interesting speaker all the way from Malaysia, Jacqueline. Let me just say a couple of lines to introduce her before I hand over the floor. Jacqueline is a senior teaching fellow from Sunway University, Malaysia. She has 10 years of experience as an academic. She's trained in counseling, is a registered counselor with the Board of Counselors of Malaysia. Her areas of research include sexual and reproductive health, smartphone use, and quality of interaction, which is what we're going to talk about. One of her recent studies looks into Phubbing and how it impacts relationship quality between friends and strangers. Come, join her to learn more about Phubbing, what its effects are, and what we can do about it. So thank you so much, Jacqueline, for being with us today, and the floor is now yours.
Thank you very much for that introduction. Makes me sound like I'm like some really cool whip hoo-ha person, but all I do is really just look into, well, one of my area of research is sexual and reproductive health, and then the other one is smartphone usage. And just because smartphone use it's really penetrating into our lives now. And so today I'm going to talk about Fobbing. Just a minute, let me share my slides. Then, okay, where is it? Because is it appearing? Okay, can you see this?
Yes, we can. Maybe you can start the slideshow.
Okay. Because I'm not very sure whether you can see the slideshow in case there's a lag. Okay, so today my talk is going to be about to Phub or not to Phub, and that is the question. And because of the screen that it is, I wouldn't be able to see any questions or comments for now. So probably address if you have any questions, probably towards the end of the talk that I will address. Unless there's anything urgent in between, then I think the moderators will let me know. Okay, so to Phub or not to Phub, that is the question. Now, the first time when I heard this word Phub, I was like, huh? Can you tell me the word again? What Phub? It doesn't sound appropriate at all, the way it's pronounced. And then, and this word was presented to me actually by my fellow student who said, Miss Jacqueline, I want to do a study about Phubbing. And I said, what is Phubbing? I've never heard of this word before. And then it was through her that I got to know this term, and I got totally absorbed into this and want to, that's how I end up doing research in Phubbing. So what is Phubbing? Like Dr. Anita said earlier, I think it's something that we face very common nowadays because of how it is. So as you can see here in this picture itself, actually all the individuals, they are Phubbing one another. You see, they're all holding some kind of a gadget. It could be a tablet, it could be a phone, not really a laptop, because laptop, we don't usually carry it around with us. But the idea is that you are Phubbing when you take out your gadget, your device, your smartphone, while you are in a conversation with another person, okay? So before I go to Phubbing, I want to talk a little bit about the evolution of cell phones. I mean, how did we arrive at the phenomenon that is Phubbing today? So long time ago, the cell phone was created way back in 1986, the earliest one of all. Okay, it's this Motorola handphone, cell phone that looks like a water bottle. I don't know how many of you students here have actually seen that phone before, but it looks like a water bottle and it's huge and it's heavy and we carry it around. Actually, not me. I didn't really carry it around. My dad carried it around when he had it because it was like the thing that people could communicate with one another at any time and place. You know, or else we'll be stuck with our telephones, or we have to use the public phones. And thanks to cell phones, that we are now able to communicate with one another at any place and time. So that was in 1986, and then it evolved over time. It was just voice that time, like hello, bye, I want to talk to you kind. And then in 1996, SMS came in. Messaging came in. Okay, we could start messaging one another, and that took it was a real big deal because it was immediate, and yet we could also plan what we wanted to say to the other person. If I don't want to reply now, I can reply later. I can think about how I want to respond. I have time to give a, how do I put it, rather than an impulsive response, I can think about it and then, or if I don't like this person and I don't reply at all versus a call. And then move on to 2003, email process apps. We have the BlackBerry, okay, which allowed us to access formal emails and so we could work with the phone. And then came the iPhone. 2007 was the first launch of iPhone first generation. That was the breakthrough of all smartphones, okay? If you want to think about how Fobbing came about, actually, you should thank iPhone to some certain extent because iPhone is the start of smartphones. And it was through smartphones that we are able to access 10,000 kind of apps on our phones. Okay, and then from iPhone to Samsung to there's the Sony one, and then Nokia died along the way because they didn't evolve as fast. They didn't follow trend as fast. And then now we have Huawei, we have Oppo, so many brands of smartphones in the society, in the market now. So if you look at it, long time ago, phones, we only use it for voice, text, like on needed basis. Like it was necessary because I can't be running to a public phone to call someone. Like, if I was left in school and I missed the bus, I have to run. I have to get coins to the public phone to call my mom. But then with cell phones now, kids can just call, I missed the bus. Can you come and pick me up? Kind, for example. Okay. And then we don't used to have games in the phone. The earliest game was Snake on the phone. I don't know how many of you here actually have the experience of playing that game on your phone. Now what do we have? It's not just Candy Crush anymore. It's more than that. You have, at one point we were playing zombie versus plants. And then now you could play all the different kinds of sword games and whatnot, interactive games. And then of course, like I said, from message to now we have the social networks, social apps, okay? Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, which allows us to be connected all the time to everyone from any parts of the world, so long they have internet and so long they have, well, in this case, smartphones. Okay, and because it's small, it's portable, it's in our pockets all the time, we just want to take it out, okay? So, like right now, when you're listening to me talk, where is your phone? For those of you who have your phone. It's probably on the table next to you. It's probably in your pocket. Well, I guess in the pocket is actually better than on the table. And I'll explain to you why. Some of you, how many of you who actually don't have it with you? I think most of us would have it. Even mine, it's next to me. Okay, so it's easily accessible, easily reachable, which leads us to the phenomenon called Phubbing. So here, are you a Phubber? How do you know if you are a Phubber? Okay, looking at this picture here, you will see that all these kids, they're together, they're in a group, but then they're phubbing one another. And this is actually quite a very common scenario, not just with friends. Well, previously before COVID, before the lockdown, we go to cafeteria, we go, family meal times. Before food arrives, or, when you're ordering on the menu, some of us take out phones and then start phubbing instead of talking to one another. Or when we're waiting for food to arrive, that's where you take out your phone again and then That's the Fabbing scenario. And it could be a mutual Fabbing, as in, let's say it's a couple and the partner, they both Fabb each other. So it's mutual Fabbing. It could be solo Fabbing, where I'm Fabbing my partner and my partner is obviously, well, in this case, not happy because I'm not paying attention to my partner. Or it could be the whole table Fabbing each other. Now, at one point in time, Fabbing was known to be, just taking out your phone and then in the middle of a conversation, in the middle of a social interaction. Okay, and then it evolved to more things, more research has been done, and I will explain again more things to you. What about Fabbing now that is being looked at? So are you a Fabber? Yes, you are a Fabber if you carry on with two conversations at a time. One with the person in front of you and the other one on your phone. As much as you may not be talking to the person on your phone, okay, you could, you're not necessarily on the SMS, you're not exactly messaging the person, you're not actually replying on Instagram or Twitter or FB Messenger, fine. But you are actually having a divided conversation between the person in front of you and your phone. It could be Facebook. You're not actually conversing, but you're actually looking for information. Okay, or this person posted something and you are attracted to what the person, oh, this person has a new dog, this person has a new plant, this person moved house. So you are divided in terms of attention. So if you think, I was multitasking because I don't really have much time to look at my phone. So this is like my me time. If it's your me time, then keep it to your me time. Then use your phone in your me time instead of during when you're out with someone who is in front of you. So this is not multitasking. And we know that humans, as much as we want to claim that we are good at multitasking, we are not very good at multitasking, okay? That's why we're driving, we're not allowed to use the phones because we are bad at it. Okay, using the phone and driving, we know it's dangerous, it's fatal. The same as when you are with a person in front of you drinking coffee or not drinking coffee, discussing an assignment, or in this case, if you're even talking to your lecturer and you take out your phone, it's not very polite either. So this is called phone snubbing. You are phone snubbing the person who is physically present with you. If you carry your phone to the dinner table where you're eating, and you're not able to finish your meal without checking your phone intermittently, then you are definitely a Fabber. Okay, like you sit down, okay, fine, you tell yourself like, okay, I'm not taking out my phone now, no, I'm not a Fabber, I'm not a Fabber. But can you survive the entire meal? See, the word is survive here. Can you last the entire meal without taking out your phone? And some of you will be thinking, let me think about it. When was the last time that I actually had a meal without taking out my phone? It doesn't have to be outside with your friends, right? Because nowadays, due to, again, the pandemic, we are in half the time locked down at home. Maybe not with your friend, but it could be with your family members, okay? During dinner meal time, breakfast, doesn't matter. You sit down with your parents, your siblings, your grandparents, whoever you're staying with. Do you finish the meal without taking out your phone? Or the first thing that you do, if you're in bed, okay, fine, this one is a bit different. I'll talk about the couples one later instead of mixing you up with different kinds of scenario Fabbing. In this case, you are definitely a Fabber if you cannot finish your meal without checking your phone. So like in my case, if I share with you my own example, it was just yesterday. Because I do a lot of reading and looking into investigating Fabbing and then the impacts and whatnot. But I am a perpetrator of Fabbing, okay? Because whether you admit it or not, all of us have Fabbed or been Fabbed at any one point in our lives. Okay, so if you come and tell me that I've never Fabbed anyone, unless you've never used a phone before, a smartphone before in that case, it is very, very hard for me to believe that you have never Fabbed before. So in my case, I admit that I am a Fabber, and under different circumstances that I Fab, even with my kids. Yes, when I put them to bed, half the time I have my phone with me. And the more studies I read, the more stuff that I look into Fabbing, the more guilty I feel because there is a link between parental Fabbing and children's behavior, children's response and whatnot. And so these few days I've been, because of this talk also, everything is like, whoa, smack right in front of my face, right? I tell myself, okay, I cannot take out my phone when I'm with my kids in the bedroom while I put them to sleep. And it was a very effortful gesture. Like I had to put it away and really just don't look at my phone. Don't look at my phone. Kind. And yeah, I survived these few days, but that feeling is there. And I'll explain to you why we have that urge to fob as well. Yeah, and to the extent that my kids sometimes would ask me, "Mommy, why are you not looking at the phone today?" Which is bad. So yeah, it's not just for young people who are fubbing, it's for us as parents who are fubbing, and then even for elderlies who are fubbing. Okay, we definitely need to look into more studies on fubbing to know the impacts on everybody, not just one or the other kind, because it's actually quite, it's overlapping and then it's interrelated in that sense. So where did the word fubbing come from? It was actually termed by a dictionary, Australia Macquarie Dictionary, way back in 2012. They call it fubbing based on this portmanteau. Portmanteau meaning they take two words and then they combine it and make it into a new word. Okay, it was way back in 2012 where they look into this word called, phone and snubbing. Okay, phone as in the phone, that's the phone that we use. And snubbing, basically, I'm snubbing you with the phone. Like I am mistreating you, I am not paying attention to you, but I'm paying attention to my phone. So when they combined the word phone and snubbing, it became the word fubbing. In other studies, you will see that some researchers term it as technoference, where there's interference due to technology. Somehow the word fubbing took I guess more layman people were able to relate to it more, and then I guess it's also that it's catchy. There's people are able to pick it up easier than the word technoference. So yes, fubbing came from a dictionary, and then after that, it is permanently kept in the dictionary. Now we take it as an adult word. There is an official word now to describe things that people do. I mean, all the while we'll be like, yeah, this is what the person does. Takes out his phone at the, when we're discussing with one another, takes out his phone when we're doing work, takes out his phone when, okay, fine, not just her phone, when we are in a meeting, for example. Now we finally have a word. The word is called fubbing. And ever since the term is coined, it's like wherever we go, stop fubbing me. And see, you're fubbing, and then I'm a fubber, you are a fubby. So a fubber is the person who fubs. So if I take out my phone when I'm with you, then I'm the fubber. If you are the one with me and you don't take out your phone, then you are a fubby. Okay, so there's a fubber and fubby. Okay, so it started very simply with mobile phone usage, and then problematic mobile phone usage. And then it moved on to, okay, there's this thing called fubbing. And then is fubbing straightforward? Not really. Fubbing, we have the solo mutual fubbing, and then we have the fubber, we have the fubby. And in this case, fubbing can become a vicious cycle where the people who are fubbed, the fubby, may get more aggressive in the sense where they take out their own phones and they start fubbing as well, in order to feel that, that emptiness, that void, that awkwardness that is between two individuals or three individuals or four individuals, whoever you're hanging out with. So sometimes you are with this person and then you take out your phone. And what does the other person, what does the fubby do? Like, hello. It's a bit awkward if I say that, can you talk to me? Or, and I can't keep reminding you, hello, I'm here, can you feel my presence? So to make up for that void, that awkwardness, what do? I don't have a paper to scribble. I don't have a crossword puzzle to do. I have my phone with me, so I take out my phone as well. And then this becomes a vicious cycle. You fub me, I fub you back, and we continue to fub each other. Okay? And what they have found is also that the person who is fubbed actually fubs other people more, and then therefore like how I lie to you, you lie to another person, the person lied to another person kind. In this case, I fub you, you fub another person, and everybody fubs everybody. And at the end of the day, we get a fubbing city, fubbing society, of which nobody talks to. Well, we do talk to people within the world of smartphone, but not face-to-face interaction kind of real conversation. Why do we fub? Again and again, based on reviews that have been done, these are three main reasons why fubbing happened. Okay, one is the fear of missing out. Again, I don't know how many of you are familiar with this word. The short term of it is FOMO, the idea that you do not want to miss out what's happening. There's this sense of insecurity, like, how is it that everybody knows and I don't know? Okay, you don't want to be left out and you want to be always in the know. And that's how the smartphone allows us to overcome this fear of missing out, because you have, all your apps there, and then you get this one whenever you have like a new notification comes in, usually or a ping or a message sound saying, oh, there's a new stuff coming, or a new message that comes in, and you want to know, oh, something has been updated, or someone has announced something, someone has put up a new picture, someone has I don't know, someone has delivered a baby, for example. And you want to be the first to know, because these social media apps via your smartphone allows you to be always involved, permanently connected, permanently online. This is another new term that is coined recently, all thanks to smartphone usage. So we have Fabbing, and then now we have FOMO, and then now we have PCPO, permanently connected and permanently online. Okay. So this is the first, is fear of missing out. I always want to know, or if I don't know, I have this sense of like something's missing. There's this sense of anxiety, and sometimes when, of course, to be fair, some of you will be thinking, but I use my smartphone for classes, I use my smartphones for meeting, I use my smartphones to answer email. True enough, because of the advancement of technology, it gave us all these advantages, all these benefits, where we are able to connect with people more, we are able to do our work more efficiently, and we are able to work from home. But that also gives us the limitation where we do not have a clear boundary, okay, because I am always connected, and therefore I always have access to all these information, and when I don't know, then something, I don't feel good about it. Okay, it gives me this sense of anxiety. Now, the next is lack of self-control. Lack of self-control is a very common factor that's been found in various types of addiction, including alcohol and drug addiction. So people who have very difficulty controlling themselves, self-regulation, high impulsive kind of person, they are more likely to be addicted in a sense, because it's hard for them to regulate. I shouldn't be doing this. I need to hold myself back. So in this case, we also find that people who lack self-control are more likely to fub, because there is an urge for them to want to look at their phones regardless of where they are. Doesn't matter whether this person is in front of you, doesn't matter whether it's supposed to be bedtime and the lights are switched off, and you have this urge, this impulse to want to always look at your phone. It's like saying that this person in front of me is not as important as whatever that I'm missing out from my phone. Okay, just let me check for a little bit. Just a little bit. But we know that little bit from one news feed. If you look at Facebook, one news feed to another news feed, we never stop looking at the news feed. Facebook videos are also equally, how do I put it? Is the word addictive? Okay, I mean, I can put the word addictive, because the videos, if you watch, or even TikTok videos, they connect from one to another. Never ending. You can sit there, and by the time you know it's 2 hours past, you tell yourself, I'm just gonna do, I'm gonna type a page of 500 words, and then I'm gonna rest, reward myself. I'm just gonna browse my phone for 5 minutes, and next thing you know, that page of 500 words, you took half an hour, and you end up on the phone 2 hours. Okay, lack of self-control. And we are all guilty of this, okay, at one point or another. Not all the time, probably, but definitely at one point in our lives. And then the third one is internet smartphone addiction, or any virtual addiction for that matter. That's what Karadak found. Karadak and his colleagues found. Smartphone addiction, or in this case, internet addiction, because smartphone allows us to be connected to, internet allows us to be connected to whatever apps that we have. That's the one that propels Fobbing, because we are addicted to being, to our smartphones, to wanting to check all these apps and whatnot. And that's why we Fob, because we have this urge to want to look at, it doesn't matter, messages, or even to play games. Okay, game addiction is another one. So that's why I say, for any virtual addiction for that matter, these are the pushing factor to why we Fob, why we can't let go our phones when we are in the presence of another person. Okay, David and Roberts, Davy et al., they did a study in India. So they found the same thing: fear of missing out, lack of self-control, and internet addiction in university students that leads them to phubbing the people that they hang out with. Okay. Okay, now I'm going to talk about the impact of phubbing and personal relationship in terms of 3 domains, and which is going to be friends, parents, and couples. So the first would be friends. Now, in different kinds of studies, now the ones that I've picked here, they're just a few. Okay, there are many studies that have looked at phubbing and how it impacts the quality of relationship among friends. So there is definitely lower perceived of interaction quality. Perceive here meaning when you are with the friends in the study itself. They give the survey. It's not necessarily an objective measure of interaction quality, like are they really interacting? Not really. It's the perception of the person in the relationship, how they view the scenario when they are phubbed. So there's definitely lower perceived interaction quality. They feel less connected. They also feel lower sense of empathy. Now, Przybylski and Weinstein, their study was very, very interesting. One of the first few studies before, because 2012 was when phubbing was coined, and they did their study without the word phubbing. And what they did was they just got 2 friends, just talk about something for 10 minutes. And in one group, they had they told them to keep the phones. There was no phones whatsoever, and they carried out the conversation. And in another group, they told the participants there was a phone while they were talking, and that phone, there was nothing on the phone. It was just the presence of the phone. There was no messages, no announcement, nothing, no notification at all. But with the presence of phone itself, participants actually rated that they felt lower sense of empathy, lower sense of connectedness with one another. So it's not just about phubbing. The idea that the presence of phone can impact our quality of relationship. Okay, so imagine if today you are out with your friends discussing, let's say you have a coursework, group work to do, and all of you put your phones there. That itself can have an impact in terms of the quality of relationship that you have. As much as you say, oh, okay, we're not going to look at our phones. We agree there's a rule that we're not. But, you know, based on Przybylski's study, the presence of phone itself can have a huge impact on what's going on with the relationship among the group. And then Dwyer, they found, lower interest, lower enjoyment, higher boredom, more distraction, and less socially connected. So overall, you can see that the connection is not good. There was sense of boredom. The conversation was more distracted. It's like as if they were not paying attention. And we know with the presence of smartphone, with the presence of technology, when we're talking to the other person, are we really able to multitask? Are we really able to juggle? Studies have also found that when we are phubbing, or at least when we believe that, oh, I should be able to, but the truth is we don't. The conversation that's carried out is actually quite superficial because you're not paying attention to the person. So how in-depth can it be? In this case, therefore, people feel that it's more distracted and they are less socially connected. For Chopitaya Sunoth, they found that there was a reduced need for belongingness, like I don't feel as attached to you, I don't feel close to you. Okay, this is with friends. So when you're hanging out with friends, you want to bear in mind the impact of your phubbing behavior towards the phubbee. Okay, and the other thing is that somehow we tend to phub people who are close to us more than people whom we are not very close to. Okay, to some certain extent where we take the relationship for granted. So depending on how you want to view it, number one, you take it for granted and therefore we shouldn't, because they are people whom we really appreciate, whom we really love, and they are close to us. On the other hand, if you are phubbed by this person in front of you, you probably should be thinking, hey, that means this person sees me as someone who's very important. There's this tiny sense of comfort, if at all. Okay. Next is with family. Now, with family, parental phubbing and children, there are more and more studies that have been published in these few recent years, including in 2020. 2019, 2020, where they looked at parental phubbing, parents' behavior of phubbing and how it impacts children. Okay, one found that children were, they had more problematic behaviors when there was increased phubbing by parents. Now, the thing is with parental phubbing is when we ask parents in terms of, oh, how much do you use your phones when you're in the presence of kids? They'll say, yeah, I admit I use it a lot. But if my kid needs me, I pay attention to their needs. Okay, so that's the idea that parents have. But based on studies, unfortunately, it has been found that parents, when they phub their kids, when parents spend a lot of their times on phones, they are actually not able to pay attention to their children's needs. The children feels this sense of emptiness, this sense of that their parents don't care, their parents are not involved, less attached, and that is the scary part, because parental phubbing can start even at infancy stage. You know, like new mothers who may be on the phone looking for support or whatever it is, or homemakers who are at home and they want some time off. You know, some time off. I have my me time on the phone, but then the kids are there. This is a little bit a point of concern, because it is worrying where that attachment between child and parent may be affected because of the presence of technology. So it's definitely something that, you know, as we progress on, you know, one fine day you all could be parents as well. Or if you are in that scenario where your parents may be the one phubbing you, okay, it's definitely not going to lead to a good outcome. The same with how if we have elderlies at home, again, nowadays we are mostly at home, and within most of the Asian cultures, we live with our grandparents and whatnot. The elderly group, they are not familiar with technology. And for them, when we're in a conversation with grandparents, especially, to them, it's not about, hey, you need to be mindful of your phone. No, to them, it's about putting away that phone entirely. Yes, they do feel rejected, they feel isolated, they feel depressed. I'm going to talk about the mental health in the next slide. So be mindful. It's not just about parents phubbing kids, it's also about young people phubbing elderly in the family. Okay? The last one, couples. Now, couples, we have this thing called partner phubbing. And phubbing, when we think that it happens a lot in cafes and social settings, actually phubbing happens a lot in the bedroom, where partners phub each other a lot. You know, like husband and wife. After the kids sleep, you know, you would think that, oh, this is the a great time for us to catch up, you know. But no, end up husband one corner of the house on the phone, wife another corner of the house with the phone. Okay, and what they found is when partners phub each other, there is decreased relationship satisfaction. And one of the reasons to why there is decreased relationship satisfaction is because there is constant conflict over phone usage. Okay, because you care about the phone more than you care about me. Okay, you talk to the phone more than you talk to me, kind. So when you are in a relationship, doesn't matter friendship or couples, partner kind of relationship, there's this expectancy where when I'm talking to you, I expect you to pay full attention to me. And that's what makes a good quality of a relationship, where you are present. You're able to pay attention to their non-verbal language, their micro messages that they're sending in other ways, you know, either their eyes, their hands, their shoulder, their posture, how they're talking to you, the tone of the voice. But when we are divided between the phone and the person in front of us, how much is it that we pay attention to all these micro non-verbal languages that's being sent over, emitted over? Very, very hard, because where are our eyes? Our eyes are on the phone. Okay, unless you're saying, I'm looking at you, but then my phone, my hand is browsing. Okay, then in this case, how much of it are you paying attention to this person in front of you? This leads to this idea that we are connected. All of us want to be connected because we are all social beings. Okay, and the point of technology is so that we are more connected than ever before. But at the end of the day, we are alone. We are connected but alone. You look at all the phubbing pictures. They are mostly individuals who are together, but then they're alone in their own silo world. So like this couple here, they're talking to one another. How was your day? Good, and yours? But there's no other crossover interaction from there. So she's alone in her world, he's alone in his world, but they're somewhat connected either to one another or to other people within their social network that they can have access to. Phubbing and mental health, like I mentioned before, there is feeling of being rejected and disrespected. Some people feel very isolated because you choose the phone over me. That's what you're telling me, okay? And you are violating the norm, the expectancy of how, I mean, my expectation of how a social communication should be, where we have interaction of continuing the conversation. You look at me, I look at you, you know, but once you pick up the phone, you're telling me that the phone is more important than me, okay? And therefore I feel excluded. In human beings, studies have been found when we have that, when we are excluded, when we are rejected from a group, that pain that we feel is actually similar in terms of this part of the brain when we are feeling physical pain. So when we feel physical pain, this part of the brain, it's highlighted. And when we feel excluded, this feeling of exclusion is the same part of the brain that's highlighted. So the pain of exclusion is very similar to the pain of physical pain, actual physical pain. And it's definitely not something good at all. And from there, we learn Fobbing, how it's impacting relationship, quality of relationship satisfaction, all these links to higher risk of depression, loneliness, and from there, it reduces life satisfaction. So overall, it leads to a very, very negative subjective well-being. So one Phubbing action, one action of us taking out the phone today can have major, major repercussions on someone's well-being, okay? Or not just someone, because we know the Phubby Phubs another person, and then it becomes a society's problem where everyone's well-being is implicated. Now, it depends. What does this independence mean? This study where my student and I, we did it together, where we looked at Phubbing, comparing friends and strangers. So we had one study where it was friends, and we left them idle for 5 minutes. So they came in and we said, oh, we forgot to take something, so I'm going to leave you here for a while. You can do whatever you want and we'll come back. And in that 5 minutes, we observe what these friends, this pair of friends, okay, it's girl friends or guy friends. And in the 5 minutes, we observe whether they actually took out their phones or not. And true enough, they actually phubbed. There was different types of phubbing behavior. It's either it was mutual phubbing where they phub each other, solo. Now it could be, the one we noticed was also there's solo complete phubbing and solo partial phubbing, meaning I could be phubbing you intermittently. So I'm phubbing now, and after that, like, hey, come look at my phone. And after that, I continue to phub you again. And then the other person could also be doing the same, okay? So it was a mix of phubbing behaviors that we realized, hey, phubbing is not so straightforward. It's not just about taking the phone and not caring about this person in front of you. It could be you taking out the phone and then you involve the person intermittently, okay? Or you both, where you both take out the phones and you phub each other intermittently, but you still involve each other intermittently. So there are different ways of phubbing in this sense. And what we found was when friends in that situation, they phub one another, their interaction quality actually it wasn't affected. Like there was no impact on how they perceived that level of connectedness. Like it was okay. Seems to tell us that it was okay for them to phub one another. But when we tested with strangers, wait just a while, yeah. Okay, while I wait for the screen to load. Okay, see, another problem of technology hiccup. Okay, this is weird. Wait, yeah. Let me try again. Okay, let's see if I can open. Okay. So yeah, with strangers, coming back. With strangers, what happened was we told them that this is not a stranger, someone that you need to work with, a partner, and you need to work out on a budget. And the scenario was a little bit different. We didn't leave them as it is. We gave them a task. And one group, it was 0 message. One group, it was 1 message coming in. And we told the confederate, in this case, our person that we plot in the experiment, 1 message, reply the 1 message. And in another scenario, 3 messages. And our confederate had to reply all 3 messages. So there was a difference between, so the friends one, it was a very leisure scenario. And then the strangers one, it was a task-focused scenario. So what we found was when strangers within a task-focused scenario environment, they did not like the phubbing at all. Okay, they rated the person who phubbed them much lower. Okay, especially the one in the 3 messages compared to the no message and 1 message. So what we know is a lot of times phubbing is not as straightforward. But I'm not saying that phubbing is good, yeah. It's just it's not as straightforward. Who are you with your friends, and what kind of environment are you in? Are you in there with your friends for a coursework discussion, or are you there just for a leisure hangout? And is it like an agreed norm among your group that it's okay to phub intermittently? Like it's okay if all of us are on the phone and we are still connected to one another even when we're at the phone. Then in that case, apparently these norms wouldn't affect the relationship as much. But when it's task focused and you're with a stranger, this is the first time you meet the person and you phub the person, it's a big no-no. Okay, and then the other thing is usage of cell phones together. Now I could be phubbing you, but it's not necessarily an act of phubbing if I'm including you in the process. Okay, so like one of the parent studies that they did was when the parents went to the museum with their kids, and parents who use more phones, the kids weren't very happy, of course, and they felt less connected with their kids. But if the parents use the phones with their kids, okay, to understand stuff at the museum, then that actually made the relationship better. Okay, it was an increased quality of relationship. So it depends on what we're using the phones for. It's a mindful use of the phone. It's not about, hey, no phubbing altogether. You know, if I'm taking it out, if we're conversing and I'm taking it out to enhance this conversation that we have, oh, I know what you're talking about. It could be this Blackpink Korean artist. Oh, does she look like that? And then you start sharing the content from your phone. Then it's more tolerable than when you're totally completely phubbing the person who's in front of you. Okay, I'll share with you this video. Kind of like a summary.
I'm Pop Culture host of the Washington Post, and I'm trying to answer the question today: what does it mean to be phubbed? Phubbing is the combination of phone and snubbing. It means you're snubbing someone by looking at your phone instead of paying attention to them. You've done it, I've done it, we've all done it, and it's really annoying. This guy's doing it to me right now.
Jacqueline, the video is not audible.
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
Oh, I
think
didn't know. Wait,
it
yeah.
was audible in the beginning, but somewhere in the middle it kind of went off.
Oh, okay. Wait, yeah. Oh, what happened? Okay. Wait, let me try again, yeah? What happened? Let me see.
Still not audible.
Okay. Is it better? Can it be?
No,
Is it
it's-
okay?
No, we still can't hear.
Okay, never mind. I can give you the link to the video. It's actually from a YouTube video in that sense. For those of you who want the, I'll put up the link on the chat area later.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, is that fine?
Yeah, that'll do.
Okay, so how do we reduce phubbing? Okay, after talking so much about phubbing, I would like to leave a good note in terms of how we can make our lives better. Okay. Number one, no phone zone. I think this is something that we all know. You know, when we're out with friends or whatever it is, we can put up this, okay, we're not going to put our phones out. Or if we put our phones out, we're going to put it away where it's not visible for us to see. I think at one point it was this very trendy thing to all put phones and then stack the phones and on the corner of the table. And if you're not able to tolerate your phone not being with you, you know, if there's a message coming in and you want to look at your phone, then you're supposed to pay for the meal or for that meal that you are out with your friends. Okay, that was one time quite a trendy thing to do. So that is something actually very good in terms of we all put in effort to not want to look at our phones when we are out with human beings, with people who are physically present in front of us. Or leave your phones behind. Now, leave your phones behind doesn't necessarily mean that you purposely leave your phone at home and you go out the whole day kind, because we know phones are useful during times of emergency. In this case, when you are again out with your friends and whatnot, put your phones in your handbag, put your phones in your bag, in your pocket, okay? Leave it there. Or you give yourself like, you can make it a challenge, or you give yourself like a timeline. I will not look at my phone in this 1 hour that I'm doing my work. Okay, and if you do, you limit yourself. I will only have a look at the phone, let's say 15, 20 minutes. Okay, so make it a challenge for yourself. You know, put it, it's like a goal that you aim to achieve, because you know, when you're able to do it, it actually gives us a sense of satisfaction. You know, when your friends ask you, when's the last time you didn't look at your phone? And if you could tell them like, I haven't looked at my phone for the longest time, it's actually a sense of achievement, because that means you're actually better than other people. Most of us find it very, very difficult to do that. We can also model a better behavior in this sense. When you don't take out your phones, sometimes it's a little bit awkward for other people to want to take out their phones. Okay, and when you model that behavior, people will know, oh, so she's the kind of person who doesn't take out her phone, so we're not going to do it too. Okay, and we learn from role models. You know, what's the social learning theory tells us that we learn what people do, okay, not what people say. The same with parents. Okay, some children, adolescents, get very, very frustrated when the parents say, you shouldn't be looking at your phone when you're eating, but then parents take out their phone when they're eating. You know, so then they feel, hello, you're not practicing what you're preaching. So we all need to be better role models. Okay, do as we do, not as we say. Okay, or call them out. Excuse me, it's mealtime now, it's discussion time now, it's whatever social interaction time now. Please put your phone away. Okay, but when you're calling out to them, be polite. Be sympathetic in a sense that understand that phubbing is not, it's a learned behavior. It's a habitual, it's a habit that we have, habitual in the sense that we have this urge, this impulse to take out because we are used to it and because other people do it too, and therefore we want to do it. So when you call people out, like you tell them, please put away your phones, be kind about it rather than rather than being harsh and judgmental about their phubbing behavior. Because sometimes we don't even realize that we're phubbing another person. It becomes so natural that it's totally out of my awareness that I'm doing this to other people. So when you are calling people out, be sympathetic about it. Okay? So I started the talk with this title, to phub or not to phub. Now I will end it with the same question. Do we phub or not phub? Now, if you look at all the evidences of phubbing, all points to us that we should not phub. Okay? To phub or not to phub shouldn't even be a question. It shouldn't, there's no question about it. The answer is no phubbing. Okay? But what I want to leave you with is this. We don't have to stop using our phones to prevent phubbing. Phubbing is about us being mindful. Not phubbing. Using our phones is about us being mindful. Okay, we just have to be extra aware, extra mindful of how our actions would impact people around us. If you're using the phone to enhance the relationship, like share information, you're in a lecture and you want to look up information about what the lecturer is talking about in class, you're not exactly phubbing the lecturer. Okay, if it is something that makes it better, rather than a barrier to that relationship, then it's okay to take out your phone. Okay, just that's why the word here, it's not about phub or not phub. It's about what are you doing at that point in time. Be very mindful of whether it will impede, whether it will negatively impact the relationship that you have with the person in front of you. Okay, so with that, I end my talk today. Thank you.
Thank you, Jacqueline. Anybody would like to ask any questions? You're free to ask. No questions? Maybe I should ask you, how many times did you check your phone during the time of the talk? 1 hour, 45 minutes. For 45 minutes that we took. I wonder whether you checked your phone or not. See, when she said we should be sympathetic when somebody phubs, who's not sympathetic, it is we teachers. When we are teaching and you are on your phone, let me tell you, when we stop you, we're not going to be very sympathetic when you're phubbing. So we are all guilty of phubbing, as Jacqueline said, but we need to be more conscious about our phubbing, and we never know. Friends may forgive, but in a more professional environment, we don't know what kind of impact, and it may create damage for ourselves when we phub. So we have the head of the department here to say a few words of thanks. Bindu. Bindu, you're muted.
Thank you, ma'am. Hope I am audible.
Yes, Bindu.
So, very good morning to all of you. It gives me great pleasure to propose the vote of thanks for today's program. My foremost thanks to our management for having supported us in organizing special sessions online for the student community, especially in this pandemic season. My sincere thanks to our speaker of the day, Ms. Jacqueline from Sunway University, for accepting our invitation and addressing our first year students on the topic overcoming phubbing and building interpersonal skills. I'm grateful to the principal, Dr. Devasundari, and Dean Student Affairs, Dr. Anita Manuel, for their support and constant encouragement. I thank all the heads, teaching and non-teaching staff for their support. My thanks to Dr. Purani for her support in arranging this function online. And finally, I thank my first year students for having attended the session today. Hope the session would have been useful for all of us. Thank you.